On May 4th, 2025, the Reverend Dr. Don Fielding presented a service, What Do We Do Now?, at Red River Unitarian Universalist Church. Welcome from Red River Unitarian Universalist. Thank you for joining us. The religion we practice in this church is centered in the here and now, rather than the hereafter. It is more of a thinking kind of religion than a believing kind. It is governed more by reason than by tradition, more concerned with the present than the past. It is concerned with getting the most out of life, with living wisely and well. A major aim for us is continually expanding our understanding of life and ourselves. This church is a community of people who share in the free and open search for a level of understanding that will enable us to be more fully and effectively alive. The church does not tell us what we must believe. It stimulates us to think. It supports us in our search. You are welcome to join us. Our centering value is love, with transformation, generosity, equity, interdependence, justice, and pluralism.
We gather here as individual people, young and old, male and female, temporarily able and disabled, gay, lesbian, bisexual, and straight people, all the colors of the human race, theist, atheist, agnostic, Christian, Buddhist, feminist, humanist. We gather here as a community of people who are more than categories. We gather here, each ministering to the other, meeting one another's strength, encouraging wholeness. We give thanks for this extraordinary blessing, the gathering together of separate, unique individuals as one body, one whole body, our church. Here may our minds stretch, our hearts open, our spirits deepen. Here may we acknowledge our brokenness and be ever stirred by love's infinite possibilities. Come, let us worship. As is our custom, if you'd like to come and light a candle for a joy, a challenge, or just to bring more light into this room, please do so while we sit in stillness listening to the prelude.
Reign of the evil
Please rise in body or spirit for our chalice lighting and spoken affirmation. Our chalice lighting this morning is Who We Are Called to Be by Pat Uribe Litchie. Our chalice is a reminder that in hard times, our ancestors in faith acted with courage to bring hope and safety, to bring life itself to threatened people. We light it today as a reminder of who we are called to be in a world still dangerous and despairing. With courage and faith, we bring ourselves to the work before us. Join me as together we remind ourselves of the affirmation that is a cornerstone of our free faith tradition. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek truth in freedom, and to help one another. We light this peace candle to remind us of all the places in the world where there is no peace. Join me in the words now on the screen. Lead me from death to life, from falsehood to truth. Lead me from despair to hope, from fear to trust. Lead me from hate to love, from war to peace. Let peace fill our hearts, our world, our universe. You may be seated.
Have you heard the news? In this country, almost 100 churches a week are closing their doors for good. What in the world is happening? More importantly, why? I'm going to explore those questions this morning. I suggest you fasten your seatbelt. The news may not be what you wanted to hear. Then again, maybe it is.
Our reading this morning is We Are Called to Pay Attention by Amanda Udis Ketchler. This morning and all mornings, we are called to pay attention. We are called to pay attention to our individual lives, to our delights and pains. We are called to understand and cherish ourselves, to take good care of ourselves, to know ourselves as loving and worthy of love. In paying attention to our lives, we give thanks for all that is good in them and work to make the best decisions we can to help us live fully and joyfully. We are called to pay attention to the people in our lives, to celebrate their joys with them and to tend them in their struggles. We are called to bring our compassion, kindness, and patience to our relationships, even as we are grateful for the compassion, kindness, and patience others show us. In paying attention to the people in our lives, we give thanks for their presence and work to support them to the best of our abilities. Throughout our lives, we are called to pay attention. We are called to pay attention to the society in which we live. We are called to understand the ways in which the lives of people we don't know and never will know are made harder by political and economic policies that value some kinds of people over other kinds of people. In paying attention to our society, we give thanks for the many people who are working for justice for everyone. And we join in working with them so that all people are treated with the dignity and worth they possess. In all that we do, we are called to pay attention. We are called to pay attention to the natural world around us. We are called to understand how our decisions help the natural world to flourish or cause it harm. In paying attention to the natural world, we give thanks for the way it sustains and enriches our lives, and we commit to living sustainably so that all beings have the chance to live and so that many generations after our own can celebrate the planet and its gifts. Love, compassion, gratitude, and the demands of justice call us to pay attention. As we pay attention, we bless ourselves, each other, and our society and the world. Our song is number 358, Rank by Rank.
I have no doubt that by now most everyone is aware of the decline in religion, especially that associated with our younger generations. Mainline religions have been particularly hard hit, some losing well over half of their membership. But Catholic, fundamentalist, evangelical, and all other religious bodies are feeling the decline as well. But what about Unitarian Universalists? Being non-creedal, wouldn't we be exempt from all those other creedal religions? Unfortunately, no. It would seem that because we call ourselves a religion, we suffer the same fate as all of the other religions. We are having membership problems too. So what's going on, and why is this occurring? Before I get too far, I want to remind you about the visitor to a Unitarian church who sat through the sermon with growing lack of belief at the heretical ideas being spewed from the pulpit. After the service, a UU asked the visitor, "So how did you like it?" The visitor exclaimed, "I can't believe half the things that minister said." "Oh, good," came the reply. "You're going to fit right in." So why is religious in all denominations declining? It's a very good question, and one that many sociologists are scratching their heads about. For years, we've known that religion in Europe was on the decline, long before it was noticed on this side of the pond. But almost no one thought that it would occur here because the United States has the reputation of being one of, if not the most, religious countries in the world. I say almost because I predicted for years that what would happen in Europe would happen here after a decade or two. But most people laughed off my predictions as if they were just wishful thinking. But what are the facts? Demographic data paints a rather graphic picture. We know that between the years 1991 and 1998, there was an enormous surge of young people leaving organized religion. After 1998, the surge declined, but not all the way back to the lows that had existed prior to 1991. And today, the number of people leaving religion is almost equal to those who still believe. Using demographics to look into the future, somewhere around the year 2030 or maybe a little thereafter, those no longer practicing religion will equal to or exceed those still believing. At that point, technically, America will no longer be able to call itself a Christian nation. It seems that the surge of the 1990s was the stimulus for the continuing decline. But what was it in the 1990s that turned off so many and has continued to do so up to and including today? It was well before COVID, so it couldn't have been that pandemic, even though it had its impact too. At the present, no good answers are forthcoming. I wish to offer three possibilities. The first is the so-called crisis of meaning. The second has to do with the conflict between science and religion. And the third is the growing estrangement between religion and spirituality. The best description of the crisis of meaning I have found is from a 2000 book by William Wishart entitled Between Two Ages. The first age he called the age between 1900 and 1950, and the second one the 21st century. In that book, Wishart says, if a people lose their faith in God, which is the foundation of spiritual experience, we have the condition that Nietzsche announced to the modern world: God is dead. Or, more accurately, as one psychiatrist put it, the highest value which gives life its meaning has got lost. That may well have been where we have arrived today, and perhaps seen through the eyes of a younger generation could be the conclusion that many, as a result of the meaning in life provided by religion, no longer feels satisfying. I would like to offer you my relatively new understanding of the meaning of life. Feel free to take it or leave it. Most of my life I've been involved for the search for the Holy Grail, the meaning of life. It was from a book, 2019, This Life, Secular Faith and Spiritual Freedom by Martin Hagelin, that I learned that the meaning of life is not something that can be found, but rather it simply needs to be recognized. And what needs to be recognized is the emotional and psychological effects of the difference between the finite and the infinite. The finite is where we experience meaning. The infinite provides meaninglessness. And where do we experience the finite? Death, of course. That's why meaning becomes so significant as death approaches, our own and that of those we love. And as an afterthought, life after death, if there is any, would be meaningless, because if you had forever, what would motivate you to do anything? Nothing would have meaning. The finite-infinite split applies to anyone or anything that is significant to you. The closer you are to losing them, the more precious and meaningful they become. After all, what is a Unitarian if not one who cares more about life before death? The second explanation of why religion is declining, the conflict between science and religion. Sociologists have often suspected that religion would eventually fall to the new and wondrous works of science. Indeed, that may have been the cause of the religious decline in Europe. However, if I were to dig into the details, I would have to believe that the conflict involves, 1, the creation, and 2, the nature of exactly what human beings are. By the creation, I mean the theological view of the world was created by God versus the increasingly popular among scientists view called the multiverse, which implies multiple universes with cause, that is, natural or lawful explanations. Oddly, once again, it's the infinite finite split, but this time the scientists are championing the infinite number of universes, and the theologians claim there was only one origin, one creation. I am not here to suggest which might be correct, only to notice how science might be affecting religion. When I say that science has caused a conflict in who we are, that until recently has been a conflict between the biblical understanding of who we are versus the Darwinian or evolutionary understanding of our species. For so long, religion felt threatened by evolution. But gradually, some began to see evolution as God's laws of nature. The problem eventually boiled down to who God is. Is God the giver of natural laws? Are the invisible anthropomorphized male in the sky? Or, as Spinoza claimed, nature itself? That is, God is everything. That may too have been concluded by the younger generation who have been voting with their feet, so to speak. It's kind of like how Unitarians are often challenged. You know, you hear people say, I hear you don't believe in the divinity of Christ. The Unitarian answer would be, no, not at all. We don't believe in the divinity of anyone. And the third explanation for why religion is declining is the growing estrangement between religion and spirituality. Once upon a time, I don't know, as far back as the 1950s, religion and spirituality were one and the same thing. However, somewhere around the early 2000s, a divide has increasingly grown between religion and spirituality. It could well be that the 1990s surge, secular surge, was the catalyst for the split between religion and spirituality. Today, religion owns the theology, the rituals, the Bible and its stories, the beliefs, and the churches. But the works needed to build a compelling and satisfying link or correlation between one's own personal beliefs about reality and reality itself is what the spiritual is all about. Religions are social, but spirituality belongs to the personal. And it may well have been the personal examination of beliefs that all those who left religion in the 1990s were looking for. Have you heard the one about why the Unitarian crossed the road? Well, it was in support of the chicken in search of its own path. Okay. I've given you 3 speculative reasons why there may have begun a major shift in religious membership, and even claim that UUs were part of the decline. The obvious question becomes, what do we do now? My answer is, hold the line, and here's why. I have always had the feeling that we were not so much a religion as a philosophical guide to living, or perhaps at the most a philosophical religion. We don't try to sell a set of beliefs to anyone, but we do encourage everyone to find and live up to their own beliefs. That's what creedless religion is all about. We act like a religion. We sing hymns, listen to sermons, and do it all in a church or fellowship. But we smell like a religion. But I would claim that we come here not to be saved or to save anyone else, but because we like it here. We like the people of like mind and like heart who come here also. And that's what makes us a part of this society. But we cannot, as so many others have, lose touch with the personal. That is, with the spiritual. So how do we do that? How do we become more spiritual? Well, to begin with, The UUA has a program called Wellspring that helps churches like this one bring a sense of the spiritual to its members. I would encourage you to look into that resource. Take advantage of it. And in recent years, a new entity has emerged, the spiritual director. That's a terrible name. They're not taught to direct anyone. Better names might be the spiritual guide or spiritual companion. Those individuals have been trained and certified to help others find and feel the spiritual that their lives have been revealing to them. Not necessarily Christian, or Jesus-oriented, or atheist, or agnostic, or Buddhist, or whatever kind of est the market of beliefs is available to sell. But those beliefs, one is most drawn towards one's own personal worldview, one's own system of beliefs. Religion for the masses is dying, but spirituality of the personal is being born. And isn't that what creedless religion, like us, is ultimately all about? By adding spirituality to what we already have, it just highlights who we really are and have been all along. I believe we have a future. For someday, we will be discovered by all those who have left other faiths for that creedless and philosophical religion called Unitarian Universalism.
And now, a time for practices. Join now for our time of practices with words, stillness, and music. Our words this morning are from Hope Johnson, We Are One. We are one, a diverse group of proudly kindred spirits, here not by coincidence, but because we choose to journey together. We are active and proactive. We care deeply. We live our love as best we can. We are one, working, eating, laughing, playing, singing, storytelling, sharing, and rejoicing, getting to know each other, taking risks, opening up, questioning, seeking, searching, trying to understand, struggling, making mistakes, paying attention, asking questions, listening, living our answers, learning to love our neighbors, learning to love ourselves, apologizing and forgiving, with humility and being forgiven through grace, creating the beloved community together. We are one. Moment of silence.
like to open it up to you. Anybody has any questions or comments that they'd like to have? I'd like to hear them now, or maybe try to answer your questions. Is anybody? Yes, ma'am.
Wait, please.
You need a microphone.
I had lunch with some ladies from Sherman a couple weeks ago that belong to various churches in Sherman, and they were all decrying how their congregations have shrunk. Many of them were saying they don't know if they can keep the doors open. And the Baptist, the Methodist, and the Presbyterian have had to combine choirs for funerals, so there's enough people there to sing. And they were saying, we have 20 people show up. We might have 30 people show up. And then one woman said, well, I belong to the Catholic Church, and we have 1,800 families. What are the rest of us doing wrong compared? What are they offering that we don't? I mean, that was just unbelievable. Yeah. It's not just the UUs. It was every major, denomination, and then the Catholic families.
Yeah, I think my personal belief is when all those people eventually will need something, they left that other church for some reason. When they need something, we need to be there for them, because people are going to come look at us. Why are Unitarians still around? What do they have? That's why I say we have to hold the line. We have to be here, because when they need us, we need to be here. Somebody else, anything.
One of the things I've observed with a lot of different churches in a lot of different denominations over some years is they say, when they want to welcome you, we are open, we are affirming, we are accepting. And way down in the fine print, but. And that but, or however, or whatever term you'd like to use for it, strikes me over and over as, okay, just how open do you mean this? Or is it, well, God's table is open to everybody? Or is it conditional? Precisely, and that conditionality can go, in my experience, as far as the wrong kind of Baptist, up to and including one independent congregation thinking that the entire capacity of the afterlife, as they call it, heaven, is the 37 people in that little congregation. And all the other Baptists are going to hell, or something to that effect.
I think also we have to remember that love beats belief. Eventually, what we love is what becomes important. And the love that we feel, we want to show to others.
So I have a comment, maybe a question from Megan on Zoom. Megan's one of our Zoom members in Denton. As someone who has turned up at Red River UU for the exact reasons mentioned in the discourse, I think the big reason there was such a decline in the 90s was due to the rise of an extremist evangelical preachers. Now young people need a way more than just the availability of a resource. It has to be entertaining and stimulating. They want lights and confetti.
Yeah, there's a lot of truth to that, I think. Yeah, very insightful. We see that a lot in Christian music. And it's become more an entertainment than it has become like music that I grew up with. Here's one.
I have my own microphone. I don't think I have it on though, do I?
It's on.
Okay. A question for you, Diane. You say you've gone to churches and everything is open until you reach the but. Have you found that here?
Yes.
You have?
So far.
No, you.
asking if we have a but.
Yeah, the however, have you found that here?
I don't know you well enough yet
Okay,
to know if the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship has a but.
okay.
Just
Good answer.
Anyone else? There's a relatively new book out. It's come out since I wrote this sermon. It's called Why Religion Went Obsolete by a sociologist. He says that what happened in the 90s was a result of zeitgeist, which is a German word which means the spirit of the times. I don't see a spirit of the times causing us to leave religion. But maybe I'm wrong. I'm 86 years old, and I don't know what's happening to the younger generations. But I feel like the reasons that I gave, the crisis in meaning, the conflict between science and religion, and the split between religion and spirituality, probably all work together to form a perfect storm.
Just a spare thought that as someone who graduated from high school in 1996, this was also when the internet was becoming widely available. That was a sharing of ideas and exposure to things that we otherwise wouldn't have known about.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. I think the internet has had a big impact. Actually, it's kind of interesting. The spiritual directors that have been coming on, a lot of them are working through the internet now. And they have a one-to-one relationship using the internet. I mean, you may go to a directory and find somebody that says, oh, I think that person is like I'd like to be with them. But gosh, they live about 150 miles away. Well, the internet has become a way of communication that we can use to that. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
I don't know if it's as much a question, but I know in my age group, one of the biggest barriers to attending any sort of religious thing is work. Most of us work. Most of us don't have the freedom of scheduling. And if we do, it may or may not be our only day off that is paired with our friends. And most of us kind of prioritize, if we have a weekend day off,
Yeah.
we prioritize doing nothing at all.
Well, let's just veg, right?
Yeah. And I've found that making it, when I advertise trying to get people to come, if I advertise it as a social event, I get more response. So I don't know if that's as much a question.
I think that's a good point, that time constraints are different now. And you got to take advantage of the time when you got it. And if Sunday morning comes around and you've got to go to work, which are you going to choose? I agree. Anybody else? Thank you for your questions. I appreciate it.
Now is our time for giving. Remember that every offering is a share the bowl offering, where undesignated cash is given to the charities we support. The bowl awaits, or you may donate online. Our song this morning is number 304, A Fierce Unrest.
A fierce unrest seethes at the core of all existing things. It was the eager wish to soar that gave the gods their wings. There throbs through all the worlds that are this heartbeat hot and strong, and shaken system star by star awake and glow in song. But for the urge of this unrest, these joyous spears are mute. But for the rebel in our breast, had we remained as brutes, when baffled lips demanded speech, speech trembled into birth. One day the lyric word shall reach from earth to laughing earth, from deed to dream, from dream to deed, from daring hope to hope. The restless wish, the instant need still drove us up the slope. Sing we no governed firmament, cold ordered regular. We sing the stinging discontent that leaps from star to star.
If you are truly interested in a spiritual life, I have two suggestions. One, hold the line. Keep this Unitarian Universalist Society alive and functioning. For, as I have said, when those who left organized religion will eventually need you, you need to be here for them. And second, find and try a spiritual director. Try them out. You can find directories online. There's a Spiritual Directors International with an excellent directory. There's even a center for non-religious spirituality, believe it or not. Local spiritual directors are available in person or online. And they're not that hard to find. You don't have to commit the rest of your life to be a spiritual companion, but seeing a non-judgmental spiritual companion for just a few months might just reinvigorate your joy in being alive and help you articulate your own worldview. You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Thank you for inviting me back. I hope we can do this again sometime soon.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you. Please rise as you are able, willing and able. Please join me in saying the words to extinguish our chalice. We extinguish these flames, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Go in peace, return in love. And for those of you visiting today, realize that we have refreshments upstairs. It's almost a small lunch. So.